In the heart of ancient Jerusalem, a man roams the streets with a purpose, his every step filled with determination. But who is he? What drives him with such fervor? Little did the people know, this man was Saul of Tarsus, feared among the followers of Jesus. Why does he hunt them down relentlessly? What fuels his relentless pursuit? But then, on a dusty road to Damascus, everything changed. Persecutor Saul transformed to preacher Paul, the Apostle Paul. How could someone so entrenched in persecution suddenly become a devoted follower? What could have sparked such a profound transformation in Saul's heart and mind, leading him from hunter to hunted, from adversary to advocate? Among the followers of Jesus, no one contributed as much as Paul in establishing the foundation of Christian doctrine and practices. Out of the 27 books in New Testament, 13 are attributed to Paul, and approximately half of another, Acts of Apostles, deals with the Paul's life and works. Hello everyone. Today let's delve deeper into the journey of the Apostle Paul. Let's explore the extensive travels and experiences of the Apostle Paul. Before we delve into this, share in the comments from which city you are watching. Paul, originally known as Saul, was born into a devout Jewish family in the city of Tarsus, located in the Roman province of Cilicia, modern-day Turkey, around 5 or 10 years after birth of Christ. Saul's family was of the tribe of Benjamin, which held a prestigious place in Jewish society. From a young age, Saul had been immersed in Jewish traditions, customs, and teachings. He learned Hebrew and studied the Torah, the Jewish scriptures, with great diligence. As he grew older, Saul's family sent him to Jerusalem to receive a formal education in Jewish law and theology. In Jerusalem, Saul became a disciple of the renowned Rabbi Gamaliel, one of the most respected Jewish scholars of the time. Under Gamaliel's tutelage, Saul have received an extensive education in the interpretation of Jewish law, traditions, and the scriptures. Saul's upbringing instilled in him a fervent devotion to Judaism, and he became a zealous Pharisee, dedicated to upholding the traditions of his ancestors. This zeal led him to oppose the early Christian movement vehemently. He saw the followers of Jesus as a threat to Judaism and actively persecuted them. As a Pharisee, Saul was likely influential within Jewish society and had authority to enforce religious laws. When it came to persecuting Christians, Saul was fervent in his efforts. He played a significant role in the persecution of early Christians, participating in their arrest, imprisonment, and even consenting to their execution. One notable instance of his persecution is the martyrdom of Stephen, one of the early Christian leaders. Saul stood by and held the garments of those who stoned Stephen to death, showing his active involvement in persecuting Christians. Saul's zeal for Judaism and his opposition to Christianity drove him to travel to Damascus with the intent of arresting and bringing back followers of Jesus to Jerusalem for trial. However, it was during this journey that Saul had his life-changing encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus, leading to his conversion and transformation into the Apostle Paul. The encounter of Saul is a pivotal moment in Christian history. According to the biblical account in the book of Acts mentioned in 9th chapter from verses 1 to 19, Paul's conversion likely occurred 4 to 7 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. As he journeyed, a bright light from heaven flashed around him, and he fell to the ground. He heard a voice saying, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Saul asked, "Who are you, Lord?" The voice replied, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But rise and enter the city, and you will be told what you are to do." Saul was blinded by the encounter and led into Damascus by his companions. There, a disciple named Ananias was instructed by the Lord in a vision to go to Saul and restore his sight. Ananias hesitated because of Saul's reputation, but he obeyed and laid hands on Saul, who regained his sight. Through this encounter, Saul's life was transformed, and he became a follower of Jesus Christ. After his conversion, Saul, now known as Paul, began his ministry in earnest. He spent some time in Arabia, likely for spiritual reflection and learning, before returning to Damascus. In Damascus, he immediately began preaching in the synagogues. Proclaiming Jesus as the Son of God, Paul declared boldly Jesus as the long-awaited Jewish Messiah. This caused controversy among the Jews, who were familiar with Saul's previous persecution of Christians. Paul's preaching stirred up opposition, and he had to flee Damascus for his life. After 3 years, he traveled to Jerusalem, where he faced skepticism from the Christian community because of his past persecution. However, he eventually gained acceptance through the testimony of Barnabas and began preaching boldly in the name of Jesus. And there he spent 15 days with Peter and James, the Lord's brother. During this period, he likely learned from the disciples, shared his testimony, and deepened his commitment to spreading the gospel to the Gentiles. After spending time in Jerusalem, Paul's subsequent travels were primarily focused on spreading the message of Christianity to various regions and communities. Here's a detailed account of some of his major journeys and their purposes. First missionary journey mentioned in Acts chapter 13 to 14. Paul, accompanied by Barnabas, traveled from Antioch to Cyprus and then to cities in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, including Antioch in Pisidia, Iconium, Lystra, and Derbe. They preached in synagogues and marketplaces, establishing churches and converting many to Christianity. Second missionary journey mentioned in Acts 15 to 18 chapters. Paul, along with Silas, and later joined by Timothy and Luke, revisited churches established during the first journey and strengthened them in the faith. They traveled through Asia Minor into Macedonia, founding churches in Philippi, Thessalonica, and Berea. Continuing into Greece, they preached in Athens and established a church in Corinth. Third missionary journey mentioned in Acts 18 to 21 chapters. Paul spent considerable time in Ephesus, preaching and performing miracles, establishing a strong church. He traveled through Macedonia and Greece again, revisiting churches and collecting funds for believers in Jerusalem. The journey ended in Jerusalem, where Paul faced hostility, leading to his arrest and eventual imprisonment. Throughout his travels, Paul wrote numerous letters or epistles to these fledgling Christian communities, offering them guidance, encouragement, and theological instruction. These letters, which make up a significant portion of the New Testament, are essential for understanding early Christian theology and practice. Paul wrote his letters to various churches and individuals in response to specific situations and needs within those communities. For example, he wrote 1 Corinthians to address divisions, immorality, and misuse of spiritual gifts in the Corinthian church. In Galatians, he confronted the issue of Judaizers, advocating for circumcision among Gentile believers. Philippians was written from prison, yet it exudes joy and gratitude, reflecting his deep affection for the Philippian church. Colossians and Ephesians combat false teachings and emphasize the supremacy of Christ. In his pastoral letters to Timothy and Titus, Paul offers guidance on church leadership and sound doctrine. Philemon addresses the reconciliation between Philemon and his runaway slave, Onesimus. Each letter reflects Paul's pastoral care, theological insight, and commitment to nurturing the faith of believers amidst diverse challenges and circumstances. Please share in the comments which of the Apostle Paul's books has had the greatest impact on strengthening your faith. Paul's missionary efforts and theological teachings played a crucial role in shaping the early Christian church. He emphasized the universality of the gospel message, proclaiming that salvation was available to all, Jew and Gentile alike, through faith in Jesus Christ. Over the years, Paul embarked on several missionary journeys, spreading the message of Christianity throughout the Roman Empire. He faced numerous challenges, including imprisonments and even shipwrecks. Paul remained steadfast in his commitment to spreading the gospel. Eventually, he was arrested in Jerusalem and taken to Rome to stand trial before the emperor. While under house arrest in Rome, Paul continued to preach the gospel and write letters to churches and individuals. Tradition holds that Paul was martyred in Rome, likely around 64-67 AD, during the persecution of Christians under the Roman Emperor Nero. His legacy, however, lives on through his writings and the countless lives he influenced through his missionary work and theological insights. Paul's story is one of transformation, perseverance, and unwavering faith in the face of adversity.